Grouping is this thing that should be the first thing to pop in my head when I see four terms. Actually, the first thing that should pop in my head is GCF. I look, there's no GCF. Okay. I'm going to try grouping because there's four things. What I do is I put a line down the middle, and I factor both sides of it, both sides of the line, using the GCF. For instance, on the left side of the line, I have 2 and negative 3. There's no number part to my GCF. But between x cubed and x squared, I can take out an x squared. If I factor an x squared out of that, I'm going to have 2x minus 3. On the right side, my GCF is 2, positive 2. I write positive 2 because sometimes it's negative, sometimes it's positive, and that sign is going to matter in the end. So even though positive 2, I could just write 2. I write the plus sign to help remind myself it's plus 2. If I take that out, I have 2x minus 3. I notice that I have a 2x minus 3 here and a 2x minus 3 here. That means factor by grouping works. That means that I can say my total final answer after factor by grouping is 2x minus 3 times x squared plus 2. I should check to make sure it doesn't factor further. This doesn't. And this is sum of squares almost. It's not even that. This doesn't factor anymore. This one, 4 terms, so it's probably grouping. I look for a GCF. There isn't one. I draw my line so I can do my grouping. On the left side, I'll take out an x squared, and I'll be left with x minus 3. On the right side, I'll take out a negative 5. Negative because that's a negative sign. So I'll take out a negative 5, and I'm left with x plus 3. Did I do something wrong? I don't see anything wrong. The fact that this and this do not match means factor by grouping did not work. It means I probably typed up the problem wrong. Or maybe the problem was originally this, but factor by grouping does not work. In that case, my final answer would be it doesn't factor, or x cubed. If you're my student, I want you to write x cubed minus 3x squared minus 5x minus 15. I asked you to factor it, and you factored it all you could. That's going to be your final answer. This one, it's a factor by grouping. I look for a GCF. I don't see a GCF. Cut a line down the middle. On the left side, I could take out a 2, or I could take out a 3, or I could take out a 6, or I could take out a 6 seems to be the biggest thing, right? So I take out a 6, x squared. That's going to leave a 3x here. That's going to leave a plus 5 here. On the right side, my GCF, biggest thing I can take out is I can divide everything by 1. If nothing else, I can always divide by 1. So plus 1, and factoring that out means it's still going to be 3x plus 5. Because this and this are both 3x plus 5, I know my factor by grouping is going to be 3x plus 5, 6x squared plus 1. Where that 6x squared plus 1 is coming from is 6x squared plus 1. I don't know if I said it in the other one. Where the x squared plus 2 came from was x squared plus 2. Let's try this one. This one, there we go. It looks like factor by grouping. There's 4 things, so I think factor by grouping. But before I do that, I look for a GCF, and I see one. Out of this whole problem, I can take out a 5. I can make it 5, 3x cubed minus 5x squared plus 15x minus 25. Now I can do factor by grouping to just this part. Whatever it comes out to, it'll come out to something times something when I do factor by grouping, and I'll make sure to include that 5 still. So I'm going to concentrate just on this part here, see what that comes out to, put it in this parenthesis and this parenthesis, and make sure I still have the 5 in front. So let's get all the clutter out of the way. When I do factor by grouping on this, put a line down the middle. Out of the left side, and remember, I'm ignoring the 5. I'm just factoring what's in parentheses. I could take out an x squared and I'm left with 3x minus 5. On the right, I can take out a plus 5, and I'm left with 3x minus 5. The fact that this is 3x minus 5 and this is 3x minus 5 means that this factors into 3x minus 5 times x squared plus 5. X squared plus 5. And I make sure that I still have this 5 in front, because it was in the front here, because it was the GCF of this whole thing.